The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors, who will offer you a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Dan here with Rob and Moscow. No Michael today, so he can't say wills, probate and conveyancing. You can do it if you want. Rob, you are in the chair.
Wills, probate, conveyancing.
Thank you very much.
Where is Michael? Has he gone? He's gone all Jay Humphrey, hasn't he?
He's at a conference in Manchester, the sort of conference he used to attend when he was at ITV that he thoroughly despised, but he's there as a guest speaker. Hopefully not a motivational speaker.
Yeah, if anybody who was there is tuned into this to sort of like get the, I'll see what that guy's podcast is like. Here we are.
Yep. And he's not on it.
No.
But he is very good. It's about teams. It's about teams working in teams. And we're on the team of Levi Solicitors, aren't we? Because they're a great bunch of lads and lasses. That discount is available for you at the URL we said. Loads and loads of services. The important thing to flag up at the minute is that you can exploit those services. Is that the right word? Do you want to say exploit in regards to a solicitor's firm?
Is it a memory test now? The URL we said?
I'm going to read it out again in a minute.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Don't tell them.
Why not? You've got to listen to it again. Anyway, remote appointments that you can do. Video call like this. Look down the lens. And an online booking system. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball.
I'd never have remembered.
It did take me a while to get back there. Right then, into it. Part one, which is the news. And is this... I'm going to start with the question. Is this the return of Relegation Watch? Given that when this comes out, we could be... I'm not going to say bottom of the table. I'm going to say the 20th best team in the Premier League.
Oh, I can't wait for the international break. I just pretend that this isn't happening and we don't have to pay attention.
I'm not stressed by it this year. I'm just refusing to get stressed by it. I went through it all last year. My stress will build towards the end of the season, I'm sure, but it's only a daft game, isn't it?
It is the shape of the season is that there isn't any escape from the relegation battle. Crystal Palace thought they were fine, up in 12th, rocking along quite happily, but now they stopped. I think scoring has gone first, now it's shooting. Mm-hmm. I don't know what passing might fall next. It's just one by one, all their abilities are falling by the wayside.
Until they just stood there.
So it's always been the thing with our 3 seasons in the Premier League, but the last 2 in particular, where it's like, why can't we just be in a bit of the table where we're absolutely calm and we don't have to worry about relegation? Doesn't exist.
No, not for anybody this year.
So Relegation Watch, we probably should have started it week 1.
Yeah, maybe, but there's no point in making the thing grim all year, is there? But as it stands at the minute, this will be released after the Wednesday night fixtures, which include Southampton versus Brentford, Brighton versus Palace, that big vicious derby, the old Gatwick derby.
Seagull versus Eagle.
Yeah. And we could be bottom of the table, but we're probably not. I'm going to hazard a guess now and just stick my neck on the line and say we're not.
I'm really hoping Palace lose at Brighton tonight and Palace just panic and sack Vieira or do something daft.
I did see an article to the effect that he was fighting to save his job. I thought, but look, they're mid-table.
He's basically admitted it himself that he's under pressure. But yeah, when you've not had a shot in 3 games, it doesn't suggest things are going well. I mean, Erling Haaland showed last night that if you just shoot, the ball just goes in, doesn't it? I think he had 8 shots, 5 goals, 11 passes.
I think it was 8 shots, all 8 of them were on target, and he did 11 passes on top of that. That was it.
A soft penalty helps as well, doesn't it? That gives you like a real good opportunity to shoot if you're given a penalty for a handball. I've no sympathy for Leipzig, although I suppose there is we all had to deal with Jesse Marsch, but they created him. But the first goal shouldn't count.
Do you think if Palace get a penalty, they're just going to refuse to shoot?
In solidarity with RB Leipzig, I don't know where we're going here. But yeah, they haven't won all year.
Who, Palace?
Yeah, so you can't be fond of that manager, can you?
And then the other side to this is we saw that Brighton at the weekend are quite good. So if that one can go with form, and Southampton versus Brentford can go with ability and form, then we're all fine, aren't we? And then Friday we got Forest against Newcastle, Magpie in Forest, Magpie surrounded by trees.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going there.
Just continuing the bird metaphor.
Will Chris Wood be able to play in that or not? We need him to do it. No, we need him to
he was sold, wasn't
do rubbish, don't we?
I mean, who knows?
So if he plays in it, it might be good.
It might turn out that all these players that Nottingham Forest had in their squad were just a fantasy. They didn't actually sign or loan any of them. They were just holograms.
Yeah, they do all right at home to Forest, don't they? But it's a way that they have their travails. But So let's assume that one goes to form with the table.
Newcastle are supposedly good. I don't know where this assume things are going to form thing is coming from, given the events of the weekend just gone. That's the last thing we can rely on.
It's just a form of denial. That's all it is.
Yes.
I mean, our first names are both Daniel, so
Liverpool versus Bournemouth.
It's an anagram.
Well, it's also it means that God has judged.
Yep.
And He has judged that Bournemouth can beat Liverpool for no reason. Yeah. Thanks God.
And then looking ahead to the weekend, which we'll do, we'll preview Wolves in part 2. Brentford, Leicester, Southampton, Spurs, Villa, Bournemouth, Chelsea against Everton. That'll be fine. All those are going to be fine. Arsenal against Palace on Sunday. By that time, Palace are properly panicking.
Yeah, this is what we need. But then
they're in a tailspin. It'll all be fine.
I'm just a bit worried that because Patrick Vieira is quite big and scary, that they might be too frightened to sack him. But there was an article on The Athletic today, I think, this morning, basically saying that anyone that's not sat their manager yet has kind of left it too late, because if you sack your manager now, it doesn't really change anything. The best that you can hope is it stays the same. So I'm hoping, one of these teams panics, whether it's Palace, Leicester or West Ham.
Yeah, they've clung on to Moyes, haven't they? And there's no signs of that one particularly having a massive uptick in good fortune, West Ham. Yeah, we're back at that point of let's just hope we fall the right side of the line, I think, aren't we? Just pick up enough points now. I don't know why I'm quietly confident. It's an idiot's position to adopt, but here we are.
I generally think things will all be okay until they've completely broken, and it's like, oh no, they won't be okay now. But yeah, there's loads of teams down there. They're all going to take points off each other. It's going to change week by week, quite drastically, I think. So just don't shit the bed. It's kind of the plan, I think.
We have got the run of fixtures in April where we play all these losers, don't we? So that's kind of the crucial bit where we've got a chance of actually doing something about it, because it was like the whole after Brighton feeling of like, oh, okay, well, getting a point is better than no points, adds to something, but we actually go further down the table through no fault of our own, circumstances that we can't control, because Bournemouth beating Liverpool is not something that we wanted or tried to do, and Everton beating Brentford the same. When it gets into April and we're actually playing the teams that we're having rivalries with at the bottom, that's when it can actually count for something. Who do we play in April? Because I'm saying all this, but I can't remember which one of these.
Bunch of teams, mate.
These we play. Do we play?
Arsenal was on April the 1st.
They're not the ones I'm thinking of.
Arsenal, April the 1st.
Not
Forest,
them.
April the 4th.
Yes.
Palace, April the 8th.
Yeah.
Then we've got a week off.
Great.
Because we've got Liverpool on the Monday, 17th, followed by Fulham away on the 22nd. Then midweek fixtures, we close the month out with Leicester at home and then Bournemouth away. Quite a big month is April, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's those four. Read the ones that aren't Arsenal and Liverpool again.
So we start off with Forest at home, Palace at home, Fulham away, Leicester at home, Bournemouth away.
So 4 of those 5, apart from the Fulham, aren't really in it, are they? The other 4, it's kind of if you beat them, you're actually taking points off a team that's next to you. Like, when we beat Forest, they cannot simultaneously beat Manchester City.
Do you know what the kids call that? A 6-pointer, Moscow.
Yeah, so it's going to be a month of 6-pointers, and it feels at the moment like we have enough to sort of deal with that month of 6-pointers to actually play some garbage teams and prove our worth above them. And if we don't, then relegate us.
Which is what will happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what will happen.
No getting away from it.
Our squad full of internationals. That is happening, isn't it? After the Wolves game, the international break. Cooper back in the Scotland squad, not playing for Leeds though.
That's how good we are.
Yeah, we've got a bench full of internationals. Verba, Austria, Klaassen, the Norway under-21s. Leo Yelda got called up as well for the Norway 21s, but wasn't mentioned by the official Leeds United site. Just completely skimmed past him like he didn't exist.
Forgotten about him now, he's in Rotherham.
Yeah. And Aronson, Adams and McKennie expected to make the USA squad. Rasmus left out of the Denmark squad.
Yeah. It's not that surprising, is it, I guess? It's not gone well for him, has it, Rasmus? Not as we expected, anyway. That's
because he's not been very good. I've tried to think the best of him, but and I know Luke Ayling had quite a difficult afternoon against Brighton, against Matoma in particular, but he's showed enough in there to make me think he's probably still the best right back at the club.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people were kind of critical of Ayling, and you think, yeah, still the best right back, though, isn't he? I'd rather not see Rasmus in the team, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd wondered from watching Christensen when he was in the team, he probably would have been even further away from Mitoma, because I don't know whether it was his instructions or just his style, but he seemed to always be a long way from whichever winger he was supposed to be dealing with. And I mean, the last thing Mitoma needed was more space. Luke Ayling gave him plenty. I don't know. It is a big fall for him, Grace, though, to not even be in the squad with Denmark when you were their first choice right back at the World Cup. That's quite a big change. Maybe they can have. I mean, does Luke Ayling? He's got quite a Viking look about him. If you squint, send him up there. See if they want to give him a cap. He might have some Danish heritage.
I thought you were going to say, see if they notice the difference between him and Rasmus.
Could be it.
He had a crew cut, and he's
Yeah.
okay. We'll go with it.
Shave him bald. Send him to Denmark. There you go, Luke. Have a nice international recognition. Win a Danish cap.
I have to say, I'm looking forward to the international break again, like you, Rob. And it's it's not that I'm not relatively relaxed. It's just that Leeds United, whenever I think about it, represents stress. So I'm trying not to think about it. That's kind of the position I've adopted. In the international break, don't have to think about it for a weekend.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because it was like at the World Cup. The World Cup break came along and I thought, oh, yeah, God, I need this. And then within a few weeks, you're like, oh, no, come on, when are Leeds back? But now it's got to that point of like, yeah, let's just have a rest for a bit now.
Yeah, just get it over with. The season needs to die.
We've got the advantages. Well, not the advantages, well, but the need maybe for Javi Gracia to work with some of these players. It would
like Jesse did.
Yeah. It would be helpful perhaps if the USA could do us a kindness and leave Aronson, Adams and McKennie out and we can work on them all. That would be helpful. But I guess that aside, he'll have a bunch of people that he can actually get back to some kind of goodness.
Well, he will have the youth at Thorpe Arch. Some of the youth is not there, actually. The loanees have all been in the news for a variety of reasons this week. For example, Charlie Creswell kicking lumps out of Andy Carroll and vice versa. And he scored against Swansea. And he's getting some rave reviews now. It's a good job we didn't sell him in January, as was potentially mooted that Phil was reporting on.
Well, it does depend what you want from a centre-half. I'm a bit sceptical about the value of learning to deal with Andy Carroll and then coming back to the Premier League. It's like, right, there's Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Crack on.
All the best.
His goal last night was good. Nice left-footed finish. And he also made an important block towards the end of the game as well. It was 2-1 to Millwall. It's frustrating, is there? Because, you see Charlie Creswell scoring and think, oh, that's good. He's like, it's for Millwall. That's annoying. But he's a good example of why you can't kind of reach to sweeping conclusions after a game, Creswell, because, he started the season great and everyone thought he was going to score 2 goals a game. And then he was out of the team for a bit and everyone's like, he's not ready, he's rubbish, let's just sell him anyway. And now he's back having a run of games. Rowett seems to be talking him up. He's doing well. There was an interview with Creswell himself last week or the week before where he was sort of talking about how he's learned not to put too much pressure on himself because it's a long season. And, when he's at Leeds last year, if you're only playing half a dozen games a year, you are going to put a lot of stress on each game because you need to impress. And if you go back to when he made his debut against Hull, he didn't play well. And it's like, right, we're signing a Spain international. So there is a lot of pressure on each game. But when you're playing for a whole season in the Championship, he was sort of saying I was putting too much onus on each individual game. And he's kind of learned to just relax a bit and, he can't control everything himself.
It's getting, I guess it's comfortable in your own skin, isn't it? And understanding who you are as a player rather than constantly trying to make an impression. Now, it's interesting to hear that, actually, because you do wonder how they think about this. And it's nice to know that they are actually human after all, footballers.
And he has managed to see off that Spanish international despite not even being here. Sent Llorente's scuttling off to Roma with his poorly hamstrings.
I suspect he might be back in the summer.
Well, yeah, but they can duke it out then, can't they? He'll have a new, fully Championship experience, Creswell, to deal with. So I don't know if Llorente will cope any better. I like, speaking of the Millwall problem with this, Jamie Shackleton's attitude to the loan is probably more helpful to a Leeds fan of just like, I'm not going to help them.
Oh, bless him. I had such high hopes for Shackleton when he first broke through. And to be fair, I think it was maybe last month, he did have a run of games in midfield. And I did see a few Millwall fans on Twitter being like, oh no, he's playing well, but he just can't get in the team for any extended amount of time, can he?
He might do the Alex Mowat route. He just needs to find that was the thing with Mowat, he needed a home, wasn't he? And then he became the absolute Don of Barnsley. And it's kind of gone a bit wrong. Now he's moved to West Brom. Some players just suit a club, don't they? And they need that one place where they can get in the team, play forever. And Shackleton he'll be decent at some point, won't he?
It's sad that with reference to Millwall, because I was thinking about this last night with the games being on, that I'm now looking at the Championship table and thinking, who would it hurt least being passed by if we were to go down? But then I thought, no, that's negative thinking. Reframe your thinking, Daniel. Think like Jake Humphrey would. Positive all the time. Who do we want to come up out of the playoffs who would represent the potential whipping boy in the Premier League next year if we were to stay up? And I thought, we don't want Millwall in the same division as us. But then I thought, actually, maybe we do.
Who's actually up there? I sort of refuse to acknowledge the Championship since we got promoted.
Burnley are getting promoted. They are an absolute mile. They're 13 points clear of Sheffield United in second place and 16 points clear of Middlesbrough in third place. And they've got a game in hand on Middlesbrough. So they're coming up, definitely. Sheffield United are in the process of shitting the bed on 67 points. Middlesbrough have played a game more, but they've got 64. And then you've got Luton, Millwall, Blackburn in the playoffs at the minute. But sort of Norwich are 3 points outside the playoffs. West Brom 4 outside. Coventry 4. Watford 4. So there's a number of teams still in play at this moment in time, all the way down to about 9th or 10th. But Luton and Millwall in there.
It's a weird bunch because obviously Sheffield United coming up is the Hecky factor. And I don't think I would like the idea of us being passed by Marcelo Bielsa's predecessor as we get relegated. But Hecky with that squad back in the Premier League, I suspect might not go much better than it went last time.
No.
So that could be fun. But then after that, Middlesbrough are managed by Michael Carrick. Blackburn are managed by John Dahl Thomason still, I believe. Yeah. So it's strange, isn't it? I'm not sure I'm ready for John Dahl Thomason, the football manager with Blackburn Rovers in the Premier League. Feels a bit odd. Gary Rowett, every time his name comes up...
You're thinking about Derby, aren't you? Stoke, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
And the 3-0, yeah.
That thing comes up. So Luton are probably... so we're down to... Yeah, Luton I would like to come up because of the whole... just to piss off Nathan Jones even more, because he left them for Southampton. That was a disaster. And then the only thing, like, Nathan Jones seems to rely on being at Luton. He's good at Luton. He can handle that. But he can't go back there now because the guy who's there, who Watford sacked off after 10 games, is brilliant. So he can take them up behind Burnley, and then I think we just cancel the playoffs.
I quite like the idea. If Luton were to finish second somehow and then get Millwall up through the playoffs, I do like the idea of the Premier League selling itself as the most glamorous league in the world, and then
Luton versus Millwall
in there. I would quite enjoy that, actually.
Some throwbacks to the 80s there.
I would like. They're a bit too far off it, but if Sunderland could put a run together and we get Tony Mowbray's Sunderland in the Premier League, that would be something.
Would pose an interesting question around Gelhardt, wouldn't it?
Well, he's only there until the summer, so we have him back, and they can't have him, and then they're rubbish.
Low on confidence, said Mowbray, though, didn't he? Mind you, he assisted the only goal against Norwich.
Mr. Sitter as well.
And he missed the City. Yeah, he was clean through on goal, wasn't he? And he put it straight at the Norwich keeper. Ian Pervader's been getting up to mischief in Blackpool as well.
Just on the Gelhardt thing,
go on.
it's partly because it's not going. He was supposed to go there and partner
Ross Stewart.
Yes, but he got injured like pretty much the same day that the deal was done. So it's just been Joe Gelhardt playing every game up top on his own, and he's never really had to do that. And is sort of fun. He's got a great. I think Tony Mowbray is great, and being great with him, where he's being quite public of like, I'm asking him to do loads of stuff that he's never done before. He's struggling a bit for confidence, but we're just going to keep working hard and putting lots and lots of faith in him. And also just being a nice guy who looks like a Yorkshire rock face.
I was saying Ian Pervader's been getting up to mischief in Blackpool, but he was brought back to the bench for their thrashing of the Tyler Roberts-less QPR that happened that was Tuesday, wasn't it? But he got dropped, didn't take it very well, and basically just didn't show up.
Him and another loanee, there's some lad from Manchester City, were both dropped by Mick McCarthy. And I don't know what part of being managed by Mick McCarthy made those two kids think that the best thing to do was to just go home. They just they marched out of Bloomfield Road, is the way it's been written. And that didn't go down very well with Mick, who does say he's had a word. He also took them both to Bristol away at the weekend, but didn't put them in the squad. I think apparently Pervader was in the away end and the other one was watching from behind the dugouts. So it's like you're coming...
There's a lesson there, isn't there?
You're coming on if you think you can just have your Saturday afternoon on your own because you drop, well, here's a Saturday afternoon that you're not doing what you want and also you're not playing. But yeah, the 6-1 trouncing of Tyler Roberts-less QPR was, he put the Man City player back in, and Vieira was an unused substitute, despite there being a lot of substitutes involved in the game.
With regards to the 21s in general, the game away at West Brom was called off, wasn't it, because of the naughty weather. Ellen Road, Sunday, Sunderland 2:00 kickoff. Should be a decent occasion, I would imagine. Sunderland 8th out of the 11 in the Premier League 2. We are top.
We're going up.
Good. Hopefully we're going up. It'd be
Leeds
nice
are going up.
Going up, yeah.
Something to celebrate.
And also getting called off was the women's game at Hull. And have you seen the state of the table, the Division 1 North? Like, they've got at least three, if not 6 games in hand on everybody in the league. I was trying to do the maths on it. So they're mid-table. They're 7th out of 12. But they've only played 12 games out of, how many is that? So 11, 22 games, isn't it, across the season? So they're only just past the halfway point of their season fixtures-wise, whereas Durham Sestria, who are top, have only got 4 games left, which is crazy, isn't it, given that the weather in the Cup has intervened?
We'll just have to win the Cup instead. Bit of silverware, that'll do. Because I think if Leeds win their games in hand, they go 4th, potentially higher, depending on how Barnsley go. But yeah, promotion seems to have gone now.
Yeah, but have a winner cup plate cup. It's a plate, but
a big
it's a
plate,
cup.
like Alan Partridge.
Yeah, it's a cup, but you get a plate.
The Square Ball Podcast.